Can we observe a moment of silence and silent prayer? Thank you. May sit. Okay, yeah, one. Yes. Me? Oh, yes, yes. Morning, colleagues.
Morning.
Morning, Speaker.
Morning, colleagues, both virtual and physical.
Morning.
I hope.
Morning, acting speaker.
Morning, Speaker.
Morning.
Good to see you back, colleagues, after the recess. I see you came back in one piece, most of you, and I hope you're able to do your work in your different constituencies. Thank you. Let's get down to business of the day. I do not have announcements on my side. Colleagues in front, do you have announcements? Okay. We have member statements. Today, extraordinarily a handful, quite unusual because we usually take 5, but we've got 10 member statements. We'll allow them to be read out from members Bloom, member Kana, member Badenhorst, member Hoffman, member Schneemann, member Ndlovu, member Kekana, Letswalo, Litwaba, and member Mpisi. We'll follow in that order. Member Bloom.
Thank you, Madam Acting Speaker. Madam Acting Speaker, Babita Deokaran was murdered
I request to interrupt you. I'm very, very sorry. I want to go through apologies before we start with statements. Apologies for that interruption. We've got apologies, colleagues or members, from Honorable the Premier. MEC Ralihuku will stand in for the Premier and respond for the Premier. Honorable Speaker, Member Dilange, Member Msimang, Member Paladizikhamela, Member Mokwebo, Member Kekana are attending the National Conference of State Legislatures in the US. Then Member Bosch is absent due to party business. MEC Mokheti is abroad to Canada on a work-related engagement. MEC Ralihuku will stand in for her as well. Then Member Mnisi is absent due to ill health as well. Those are the apologies we have today. We can start with the member statement from Member Bloom.
Madam Acting Speaker, Babita Deokaran was murdered on 23rd August last year. 6 people have been arrested and their trial is continuing, but we need to find out who ordered them to kill her. The clearest indication came last week from a News 24 investigation of her emails and WhatsApp messages. These show that she feared for her life because she was stopping a surge of payments by the Tembisa Hospital to suspicious companies. These companies included 3 owned by senior ANC member Sela Sokoko, who is currently the Treasurer General of the ANC's Ekurhuleni region. Now, you would have thought that the Gauteng Health Department would have done their own investigation of her emails and messages, but instead there appears to have been a cover-up. Before her death, Deokaran requested the Chief Financial Officer, Lorata Madio, to do a forensic audit of the Tembisa Hospital payments, but this never happened. It appears that Madio did not inform the acting head of department about this request, and she covered up what was happening at Tembisa Hospital. It is more than a week now, and the CFO has still not been suspended, and we hear no word from the department about action to uncover corruption at Tembisa Hospital. I'm reminded of Premier David Makura's failure to immediately suspend or dismiss former Health MEC Kwadani Mashlangu when the deaths of life-Many patients became known after she replied to my questions in this House. She remained Health MEC for more than 4 months before she was forced to resign after the devastating report by the Health Ombudsman. And what is Premier David Makura doing about this now? His own office agreed with the appointment of CFO Madmadio after the highest-scoring candidate was disqualified for not meeting the requirements of the post. The silence from the Premier and the Health MEC is deafening. Babita Diakaran's family are saying that she was failed by those in power. Her death must not be in vain. The truth must come out, no matter how discomforting it may be to those who run this province. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member Bloom. Honourable Kana.
Nakensa, Deputy Speaker, Honourable Members, fellow South Africans. President Thabo Mbeki recently commented that the ANC did not have a plan for addressing poverty, inequality, and unemployment. With that, we agree. What we disagree with is the insinuation that this is a recent phenomenon. It is not. The ANC does not and has never had a workable plan to address poverty, inequality, and unemployment. This is why, even though premiers have come and gone, administrations have come and gone, legislatures have come and gone, the three horsemen of economic injustice, the poverty, inequality, and unemployment, still reign in Gauteng. South Africa remains the most unequal society in the world, and Gauteng remains the most unequal of all the provinces in South Africa. Almost every second Gauteng citizen is unemployed. 75% of youth below the ages of 24 years are unemployed. 52.8% of the youth in this province between the ages of 25 and 34 years are unemployed. Even those who are employed are finding it hard to afford the cost of going to work. People of Gauteng, we have collectively spent too much time of our time. We have collectively spent too much of our time and energy trying to speak sense into the ANC government. We have marched, we have petitioned, we have organized, we have made proposals. They have failed to listen. To the people of Gauteng, as long as the slogans change but the political culture remains the same, there's no hope for us. There's no hope for our children. There's no hope for our children ever experiencing what true freedom tastes like. And I have to say, the future does not lie in the hands of another ANC premier. The future does not lie in another program of action. The future lies in our hands and in our vote. We need to vote not just for a different party to lead our province. We need to vote for a different political culture entirely. One that centers us, we the people, as opposed to political factions. To the polls we go, change is knocking at the door, and the door is going to open. Nakensa, Deputy Speaker.
Thank you, Honourable Kana. Honourable Padenost.
Thank you, Speaker. Good morning, Honourable Speaker and honourable members. The Eskom energy has failed South Africans dismally due to unscrupulous, greedy politicians that are corrupt and only cares about their families and friends. Load shedding is the norm of the day in preparation for privatization. But the way things are in this country and that which history dictates, it makes a lot of sense to then assume that they, the powers that be, want to privatize Eskom so that their families can take over the whole energy structure, knowing that African rainbow energy and power is ready to come in as a scapegoat. What happened to the Batupele principle that we swore to abide by? Look at the current situation in Tembisa, where we have protesters dying over service delivery, protests with the electricity crisis being in the center, and this is just the tip of the iceberg. Maybe what we need to ask is what really is the problem that Eskom Energy has. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Barinos.
Yeah.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Member Hoffman. Member Hoffman. Okay. Member Schneemann. Oh, he's there, sorry. Okay, go ahead, Member Hoffman.
You must unmute, Speaker.
Please unmute, Member Hoffman.
Switch off your camera and unmute.
Unmute.
Maybe it's Africans.
I want to say something wrong about the ANC, so the sisters will not agree.
Member Hoffman, will come back to you. Member Schneemann.
Thank you very much, Madam Deputy Speaker. On Friday last week, the town of Krugersdorp was rocked by the horrifying reports of the gang rape of 8 women who had been part of a film shoot at a mine dump near West Village. The nation has reacted with shock and condemnation in the ensuing days. Our thoughts and prayers are with the victims and their families at this time, and we welcome the support that they are receiving. Whilst we welcome the swift action of the law enforcement agencies in arresting some 80 people so far, the culprits need to be found as a matter of urgency and brought to book. In the ensuing days, it has become evident that urgent attention needs to be given to increased security in the surrounding areas, as residents have been expressing fears for their own safety. Furthermore, urgent focus is required on the illegal mining operations in the area and the possible criminal activities that are also taking place. The safety of communities is of utmost importance. We therefore wish to call on the law enforcement agencies to take all necessary steps to root out the illegal mining operations and restore law and order, and to ensure that the affected communities are able to live safely and securely. If needs be, additional resources should be deployed to the Krugersdorp and Kagiso police stations. We wish to assure the residents of Krugersdorp and Gauteng that the ANC caucus here in the legislature takes these heinous crimes seriously and will be engaging with the Gauteng provincial government to ensure that all necessary steps are taken in dealing decisively in bringing to book all those who are responsible for these crimes, and including the intensification of the Ukai Molao provincial operations in the area. I thank you.
Thank you. Honorable
Thank you,
Ndlovu.
Madam Speaker. Can you hear me?
Okay, yes, go ahead. Honorable Ndlovu will follow.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. This government is not doing enough to protect whistleblowers, even in schools. Madam Speaker, Mr. Colin Rex, who was employed by the Parktown Boys High School, was sentenced to 23 years for 144 counts of sexual assault and 12 of common assault. He perpetrated these crimes at the school. But, Madam Speaker, today I stand before you and I am ashamed to say that the whistleblower in this case, the matron at the Parktown boarding house, have been dismissed and victimized for being a hero to these kids who were not protected by the school and or others working there. The whistleblower is now paying an immoral and high price for others who may have witnessed these atrocities without taking action. It also seems that there may be a vicious circle of abuse at the school, as Mr. Colin Rex said in his court proceedings, that he also endured abuse while he was attending Parktown Boys High. As we enter a month where women and child abuse are highlighted, I hope that women and children know that they can count on MEC Lesufi for his help and assistance. MEC Lesufi talks a big game, but unfortunately failed these pupils and the people who were brave enough to speak out. Madam Speaker, the mere fact that the SGB of Parktown Boys High dismissed the whistleblowers shows a blatant disregard for decency and morality. It is our collective responsibility as MPLs to ensure that all schools are safe and that whistleblowers are protected. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Elfman.
Do your job and give
Honorable
Office Forum their
Ndlovu.
500,000.
Honorable Ndlovu.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Let us add to many congratulatory messages to our national women's team, Banyana Banyana, for their historic heroic victory in the Women's Africa Cup of Nations. This very impressive achievement has come at a critical time for our country when opportunities for cohesion, solidarity, and patriotic pride seem to become increasingly scarce in the recent times. South African women's football team has won the Women's Cup of Nations, and there are calls for them to receive equal pay as their male counterparts. A holistic approach must be taken to effectively empower women in football. The South African Football Association has only had one sponsor for a decade, SASO for women's football. They also sponsored the 9 provincial women's leagues, called SASOL Super League. There's not even a single other South African company that came up to sponsor women's football. The SASOL League has afforded many players the opportunity to further their studies at top tertiary institutions while still playing football. Let me reiterate that the state-owned enterprise, SASOL, has so far borne the brunt of being the league's only sponsor. We would advocate for a change in this regard. SAFA National Football League is sponsored by Hollywood Bets, and thus it's aptly named the Hollywood Bets Super League. Countless companies are mostly and sometimes solely dependent on women for redirecting their CSI accordingly. Of South Africa's big 3 teams, Mamelodi Sundowns led the way by launching a women's team a few years ago that won 4 league titles, including the 2020 and 2021 Holybet Super League, and won the inaugural CAF Women's Champions League in 2021. On the 28th of July 2022, Kaizer Chiefs announced that they will be launching a women's team of their own this season. We indeed welcome the announcement. Banyana Banyana need more sponsors to fund women's club football because that is where they get their daily bread as athletes. This bottom-up approach will ultimately improve the sport, increase competition, and raise the level of South African football entirely while exposing more talent. We call on corporate South Africa to come on board and join us in correcting this historical imbalance by helping drive this transformation agenda. I thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Ndlovu. Honorable Kekana.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Speaker. In accordance with Rule 81, Subsection 1, I, Honorable Refilwe Kekana, hereby table the following member statement on the gang rape in the West Rand. Madam Deputy Speaker, this past week, we learned with dismay of the gang rape of 8 young women in the West Rand. The women, who are said to be between the ages of 19 and 35, were reportedly shooting a music video in West Village Mine Dump near Krugersdorp in an attempt to better their lives when they were attacked by a group of unknown men. These attackers, who were armed with guns, are alleged to be illegal miners, popularly known as Zamazamas in the area. It is reported that the armed men also robbed the film crew of their equipment, while police have confirmed that a shootout took place between them and these suspects. Madam Deputy Speaker, this attack on innocent women and the shooting against the police is a clear indication of total disrespect for the law and authority. We are very disturbed that women are still seen as objects that can be violated and treated as subhumans. We also wish to warn against the spread of rumors that the crew was recording an adult video. We urge members of our society to refrain from promoting rape culture and victim blaming, and further stay away from the temptation to shift the focus from this barbaric act of violence against these women. We further urge the provincial government to ensure that the law takes its course and that the culprits are brought to book with the agency is required. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Kekana. Member Litswalo.
Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker. On the 25th of July, the Petition Standing Committee had the great pleasure of initiating one of its 6 pillars in our petitions backlog clearance strategy. In the presence of the esteemed Office of the Speaker, the Office of the Premier, together with the political and administrative heads of departments, war was declared on the petitions backlog, and we initiated the bulk referral strategy. As a strategist with his Machiavellian mind, Kim Mushweshwe, the first reminds us that a war is made up of multiple battles, and this is a battle we intend to win. At the beginning of the 6th legislative term, the committee inherited 545 petitions from the 5th and previous legislative terms. We can today proudly indicate that we have reset the system and that the backlog will soon be a thing of the past. Madam Deputy Speaker, notwithstanding our resolve, the Petition Standing Committee does not hold all the variables towards the closure of petitions, and thus it requires that the executive furnish the committee with progressive reports as outlined in the Gauteng Petitions Act, so as to build the confidence in the system. All the 445 petitions were printed, filed, and handed over to their respective executive authorities for investigation and reporting as per Section 7E of the Petitions Act. Moreover, a compact agreement was entered between the executive authority, leader of government business, myself, as well as the chairpersons of the different portfolio committees, including the Speaker. It is in this light of Section 114 of the Constitution that the compact agreement gives the executive authority 2 months to furnish the petitions committee comprehensive reports towards the closure of these historical petitions. The committee is steadfast and resolute in its belief that the bulk referral strategy will lead us to the resolution of many petitions and to the ultimate delivery of service delivery to the residents of Gauteng. In collaboration with the Speaker, the chairperson of Committee of Chairs, various portfolio committee chairs, the leader of government business, and various MECs, the Petition Standing Committee is emboldened to declare that the battle against the petitions backlog will be won. In the words of our founding father of democracy, that Nelson Mandela, it always seems impossible until it's done. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Litswalo. Honorable Tawa.
Thank you very much, Madam Deputy Speaker and members. Madam Speaker, the fight against crime should be taken as a key priority by the government. Furthermore, we would like to welcome the establishment of the Critical Infrastructure Task Team in Gauteng to have a focused intervention in economic sabotage in the province. The people within the province have over the past weeks been subjected to acts of terror. We need, as a legislature, through our various portfolio committees in a transdisciplinary manner, develop strategies to fight this scourge within the province. The Department of Community Safety within the province must focus its intervention on the following. Focus on the mining areas, which have emerged to be centers of high armed gangs, and in certain cases, those people who are illegal entered the province. The department must, as a matter of agency, increase the capacity in those police precincts, which amongst others must include the increase in personnel power. Installation of civilians' infrastructure to better position the police, which profiling of the areas. Improve the working protocol between the NPA and police services to ensure a high conviction rate. Furthermore, employ science and innovation to identify drugs on the spot. The use of this part of the evidence. Improve the joint operations which the municipal police to strengthen the enforcement bylaws. Our fight against crime is amongst urgent and important tasks. We must also commend the sterling work being done by the men and women in blue. Our sense of peace is a result on them, but by collaborating with the police, the community, and ourselves, we can restore law and order in our province. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Dwaba. Honorable Mbisi.
Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker. I want to congratulate the Gauteng Department of Education, led by Comrade Panyaza Lesufi, on the successful launch of the 2023 online admission season. I am impressed with the efforts of the department to ensure a fair, open, and transparent process to ensure a meaningful access to schooling. The system over the last few years have evolved into a robust and a reliable system. The 2023 online admission application period for the grade 1 and 8 opened on the 22nd of July 2022 and will be closed on the 19th of August 2022 at midnight. At the end of the first day of the admission registration, Madam Deputy Speaker, a combined number of applications received a number of combined applicants received was 232,463, the highest in comparison to the last two cycles. More than 500,000 applications have been submitted to grade 1 and 8 on the online admission system. Of these, more than 223,000, of which grade 1 is 105,000 and 117,000 representing the grade 8, represent the unique applicants. I am informed that a total of 2,074 schools with grade 1 and 8 open for applications, and that schools have started verifying documents, uploading and submitting, and submitted by the parents, and are processing the application. Applicants who may not have internet access can access the online system by visiting their nearest district office or the 49 decentralized work-in centers. Members, I truly believe that the key to the success of learner online admission is a political commitment from the MEC for Education and eGov. I want to wish the MEC Lesufi and his department well as they finalize the admission and the placement of learners for 2023 financial year. ANC leads and ANC leaves. No changes, viva ANC. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Mbisi. That was the last member statement in terms of Rule 811. Questions to the Premier for oral reply. Member Mkwebo. MEC Rally who will respond.
Thank you very much, Acting Speaker. It's Member Mabala. I will be taking over his questions.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. Considering that part of the province mandate is to improve the health status of the population, improve health services, secure better value for money, ensure effective organization, and provide integrated services and programs that promote and protect healthy, quality, and sustainable livelihoods for poor vulnerable and marginalized groups in society. As the EFF, we are aware of the fact that the provincial government departments continue to hinder the delivery of healthcare services to the community of Kutsong in Extension 5, Ward 1. With this in mind, will the Premier respond to the following? Number 1, when will the clinic in Extension 5, Ward 1 in Kutsong be opened? In your response, please provide the exact details therein. Number 2, what is the current number of vacancies at the clinic that need to be filled? In your response, please provide details as to why these vacancies have not been filled. Number 3, how much was allocated to the Department of Health for spending to pay the security company guarding the site? In your response, please provide the exact amount in rands and cents. Number 4, how much was spent to build that clinic? In your response, please provide the exact amount in rands and cents. And number 5, what are the names of the various suppliers contracted to provide resources to the clinic? In your response, please provide details of the specific resources that each supplier is contracted to provide. Thanks.
MEC.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. Madam Deputy Speaker, on the first question, which says when will the clinic in Extension 5, Ward 1 in Kuchong be opened, the response is that the new professional service providers have completed the design, and the estimated time of the completion is the 15th of December 2023. On the second question, Madam Deputy Speaker, on our current number of vacancies at the clinic that needs to be filled, the response is that the clinic is still under construction. On the third question, Madam, on the amount that was allocated to the Department of Health for spending to pay security company that is guarding the site, the response is that the security was hired by the Gauteng Department of Infrastructure. On the fourth question is how much was spent to build the clinic. The response is that it's 54370,966.02. That's the amount. Then the fifth one is what are the names of the various suppliers contracted to provide resources to the clinic. The department has not yet procured any resources since the clinic is still being built. Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. That's the question, and I will forward it to the team at the Speaker's office so that they can forward it to Member Mabala. Thank you.
Member Mabala, do you have a supplementary question or a short remark?
Just a short remark, Acting Speaker. I must say that I'm very disappointed with all the responses simply because that this clinic is like a white elephant. It has been sitting there, and the people of Kuzong, they can't wait to use the services. I mean, it's part of the service delivery, and they deserve to be serviced by the government. But you know, I think it's long overdue that this clinic operates. Thank you very much, Acting Speaker.
Thank you. MEC?
What I will do, I will send the team to go and check what Member Mabala is doing, and then we can start making sure that things that he's raising are being corrected if it's a white elephant and it's done. So we'll definitely work on that and see what needs to be done. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Diaka.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. Regarding the establishment of a help desk for LGBTIQA people in the Premier's office, please indicate by when will this happen? What is the reason for the delay? What assistance will this office provide? Is the LGBTI community a priority for this office? And if it is not, why not? Thank you.
MEC.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. The Office of the Premier has established the LGBTQIA+ and other directorate in the Transformation Unit. A director and a deputy director were appointed as of October 2021. MEC Tasneem Mutara was also appointed as the political champion for LGBTIQA+ and others. And the directorate has been involved in assessing the program gaps that reside within the Gauteng Provincial Government Departmental Annual Performance Plans. Bilateral meetings have been underway with the government departments to ensure that the mainstreaming of services and programs for LGBTQIA+ and other persons in the Gauteng province and the intervention strategy was shared with all departments. The aim of the strategy is to address unfair discrimination on the basis of gender, sex, sexual orientation, race, ethnicity, or social origin, color, age, disability, culture, language, age, conscience, belief, and other related grounds enlisted in Section 9, subsection 3 of the Constitution. The proposal of the strategy will seek to strengthen the government's ability to respond to the needs and specific vulnerability of the sector and strengthen the capacity of civil society to deliver related services. Prevention programs to address violence on the ground of sexual orientation and gender identity will also be instituted by the strategy. The sector and other programs are integrated into the departmental indicators in accordance with the priorities of the 6th administration of the Gauteng Provincial Government under the plan Growing Gauteng Together, which is our roadmap to 2030. And then the second question, Madam, is that because he's saying what is the reason for the delay? I think I'm saying they kindly refer the response to number 1. Then the third one, what assistance will the office provide? The LGBTIQA+ and other directorates will act as an oversight body to ensure that there is mainstreaming of services within Gauteng provincial departments. A forum of intergovernmental and municipal representatives, as well as civil society organizations, will form part of the sector forum. Advocacy, education, training, visibility in relation to the LGBTQI+, QA+, and other persons will be executed by the directorate. The other programs will be integrated in the departmental indicators in accordance with the priorities of the 6th administration of the Gauteng Provincial Government under the plan that I've indicated earlier on, which is our Growing Gauteng Together, our roadmap to 2030. The medium-term strategic, the medium strategic framework and the Gauteng 7 priorities guides GPT departments to ensure that the LGBTIQ+ and other community enjoy equal opportunity and participate fully in the programs and projects in the Gauteng province. The program seeks to develop a coherent, integrated system to translate legislation to policies and commitment into measurable indicators and targets, to reinforce LGBTIQ+, other mainstreaming outcome, impact and planning, and implementation of policies and programs of the project targeted by the sector. GEOD is one of the strategic goals for the Office of the Premier that is defined in the strategic plan. Namely, is to advance gender equality, women's emancipation, empowerment, youth development, and the rights of people with disability, older persons, and military veterans, promoting socio-economic inclusion. The Gauteng provincial government's approach to mainstreaming designated vulnerable groups is aimed at creating an enabling environment to facilitate the full development of targeted individuals or groups, as well as to work towards achieving of equality of opportunities in relation to access to service delivery and share of opportunities, services and resources. In essence, this means that the designated or vulnerable groups issues are an integral component of the government's planning and budgeting, including implementation and evaluation programs targeting the broader society. The fourth question, Madam Speaker, our response is that the LGBTIQ+, A+, and other people as members of social minority group are suffering from various forms of socio-economic and cultural injustice. And the Gauteng government committed to a growing Gauteng Together 2030 or GGT 2030 plan. The plan reflects a collective vision for the Gauteng city region in a decade's time and beyond. And in that, it also highlights priority actions and measures of success. The GGT 2030 plan of action is about executing the 7 priorities with specific intervention towards the Gauteng of our dreams. I'll open quote, which is the Gauteng we want, close quote. The GGT 2030 reflects how the GCR seeks to address the fundamental problems facing the residents of Gauteng. And the unemployment is part of those, poverty and hunger, which is the first one, crime and substance abuse. Third one, climate and change. Fourth one, unsustainable growth and economic crisis. Fifth one, migration, flight and displacement. Sixth one is health. Seventh one is inequality. Eighth one is social exclusion. The ninth one is lack of decent work and social protection. The 10th one is political instability, insecurity, and violent conflicts. The principles underlying these designated vulnerable groups are aligned with the Constitution of South Africa and other national, continental, and international prescripts that guides the integration and mainstreaming of issues of the targeted groups. Central to addressing the plight and challenges of these groups is a creation of an environment that is conducive for the involvement of the designated vulnerable groups in the political, socio-economic, and cultural development of the broader society, as well as access to quality services. This therefore points to a need for a coordinated effort that will better respond to complex challenges of the targeted groups, development of a strategy, and set up performance indicators for the development and upliftment of communities. The need for mainstreaming is also upheld by the legislative frameworks, which include are not limited to, which is South Africa's constitution prohibits unfair discrimination on the grounds of sexual orientation. It thereby guarantees equal to the sector, including especially this community of LGBTIQA+ other community, under Section 9 of the Equality Clause. The Promotion of Equality and Prevention of Unfair Discrimination Act of 2000 commits to the government to promote equality on all the grounds in the Equality Clause. Then the third one is the Prevention and Combating of Hate Crimes and Hate Speech Bill that was done in 2018. The fourth one is the Domestic Violence Act of 1999. The fifth one is the Employment Equity Act of 1998. The sixth one is the Sustainable Development Goal under the context of open quote, to leave no one behind, close quote. And the seventh one is National Intervention Strategy of Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual, Transgender, and Intersex sector. So LGBTIQA+ persons are seen as a priority in the office of the Premier. Given that LGBTIQA+ persons remain a marginalized and vulnerable group, and it is important for the government to ensure measures of empowerment in relation to access and safety for these communities. The last question, which is the fifth one, Madam Speaker, it says, if not, why not? And the response says, kindly refer to respond 4, which is above. Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Diak.
Madam Speaker, I will only make a remark. It is indeed very sad that we get such a long response, and in fact, I could hardly hear or understand what the Speaker was saying. But be that as it may, this community, the LGBTQIA+ community, are completely unaware of any of these desk or actions happening in the Premier's office. And I would really advise that this become an issue that the Premier's office drive, because as a community, we are totally unaware of what is happening.
Thank you. Honorable Emisi.
Thank you, Madam. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I think what we will do, I will send a message to the Premier's office after the meeting and indicate that they need to start focusing on civic education on the issue of the sector, so that what member is raising, which I don't dispute it, it's something that they must start running and do those civic education programs that will be responsible for this sector based on what the champion will be doing, which is Member Mutara, that is responsible for the sector. So both Member Mutara and the Premier's office, I will definitely send even the response to them, whilst I will send it to the member, so that the member is aware of what needs to be done, and then make a follow-up on the base, Member Dijage, so that Member Dijage makes a follow-up even with the legislature side in terms of the integration of this work that they are doing at the Premier's office and the legislature, because they even have sector parliaments that are responsible for the sector. And we brought in it, including other departments, because I will not say no, he's not telling the truth on what he's saying. I think it's something that we must all take key responsibility as institutions and work together in those programs that will be led by the champions that have been identified in government and in other bodies that we are working very closely with them. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, MEC. Moving to the second item, questions for oral reply to the executive. Member Mabala.
Thank you very much, Acting Speaker. Understanding that there are substantial increases in food prices and that the honoraria for volunteer food handlers has been significantly reduced, will the MEC respond to the following? Number one, what are the effects of budget cuts on feeding schemes in each region? And B, the total number of meals that had to be reduced as a result of budget cuts. Number two, what measures has the department put in place to ensure that all learners who are entitled to school feeding schemes are getting their meals every day? Number three, how many contracts relating to the school nutrition program in Gauteng were awarded between 2016 to... And number four, how many of the contracted service
Order.
Switch off your mic, Comrade PCA. Switch off your mic. Switch off your mic.
Order. Switch off your mics, colleagues. Those who are not on the platform or podium or noted to speak, please switch off your mics. Member Mabala.
It's Mabala, not Mabala. Number three, how many contracts relating to the school nutrition program in Gauteng were awarded between 2016 to date? And number four, how many of the contracted service providers have failed to adequately implement the school nutrition program's terms? Thank you.
Honorable MEC Lusufi.
Thank you so much, Acting Speaker. Should appreciate it. Thank you so much, Member Mabala. Should appreciate the questions. In terms of question one, on what are the effects of budget cuts on feeding schemes, the department has not received any budget cuts. Instead, we have increased our kitchens with 37 additional kitchens across the 15 districts, and also to 7 new schools. This is mainly because the contract still stands, and all those that signed the contract need to meet the obligations of the contracts. Obviously, we are sympathetic to the price increases, and we've raised this matter with the National Department, and we are hopeful that the National Department will provide the necessary adjustment if there is a need to do so. But the budget cuts have not affected the number of meals that we provide daily to our learners. In terms of question 2, the department has ensured that the existing service level agreements with suppliers of dry and perishable groceries is still in force until June 23 when it expires, which simply means that until that particular period, all the service providers requested to conclude or service this, the agreement as entered within the service level agreement so that they can be in a position to provide the necessary perishable goods to our children. In terms of question 3, where you asked how many contracts relating to school nutrition program do we have within the department between 2016 to date. From 2016 to 2019, we had 120 service providers. And from 2019 to 2022, we had 26 service providers. In terms of your last question, all service providers are implementing the school nutrition program adequately, although there were minor problems relating to late deliveries by a few of the service providers. This has now been addressed by the department with respective service providers and the payment of penalties as of last week before the schools reopened. All service providers remained on course, and they are also providing all the relevant services to all our children. Thank you so much, Acting Speaker.
Do you have a supplementary question? Or additional remark, Mabala?
No. Thank you very much, Honorable Lesufi. I would have just appreciate if we can forward those responses to the office of the Speaker, and then they can forward them to us.
We did forward them on the 27th of July, so it will be forwarded to you, but we forwarded them on the 27th of July. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Mabala. Next question.
Yes, thank you very much, Speaker. Following reports that the Department of Basic Education suffered financial losses of more than 400 million due to damages of schools during the violent unrest in Gauteng, KwaZulu-Natal. As the EFF, we are aware of the fact that the damage caused due to the tuition and theft in the schools will have a negative impact on the implementation of the recovery plan once the lockdown is lifted. With this in mind, will the MEC respond to the following? Number 1, what was the total number of schools that were vandalized in 2019 and 2020 from 1st January 2021 to date in each region? Number of the specified schools that were vandalized during the school holidays, looting, and lockdown to cap the spread of COVID-19, and the total cost of the damages in each case in each region. Number 2, when does the department plan to ensure that all the schools are repaired and reopened? If not, why? If no, why not? If so, what are the relevant details? And number 3, where are the affected learners accommodated when schools were closed due to vandalism? Thank you.
MEC?
Thank you so much, Acting Speaker and honorable members. Truly appreciate the question, Member Mabala. In terms of question 1, in Gauteng schools have historically been subjected to burglaries and vandalism, which has led to loss of available resources meant to enhance the delivery of quality education to our learners. These incidents typically occurred during public holidays, especially during the Easter recess period and the December-January break. However, there has been extensive improvement in terms of security to ensure that our schools are not vandalized or attacked by people that want to attack our school. The introduction of the regulations for the Disaster Management Act or the lockdown period, unfortunately, didn't assist us. It has led to a sudden increase of incident of burglary in our schools. There is a table that I'll forward the report to you that outlines the number of incidences, but in summary, in 2019 we had 25 incidents. In 2020 we had 353 incidents. In 2021 we had 160 incidents, and in 2022 we had 62 incidents. To date, we have repaired of the 25 schools that were affected in 2019, 25 were repaired. The 353 schools that were affected in 2022, all the 353 have been repaired. The 160 schools that were affected in 2021, we have repaired 157. We are left with 3 schools there. And then in 2022, there were 62 schools that were affected, and we have repaired 57. We are left with 5 schools to complete that. In terms of your question 2, all those questions are answered in the table. Then I'll share the table with you, all the answers of these questions with you. In terms of question 3, there are no learners that were affected or accommodated elsewhere. We managed to repair these schools while learners were attending classes, so we didn't have any need to allocate or accommodate them in other schools. And all our schools are now operating and all our learners are attending classes. Thank you so much, Acting Deputy Speaker.
Thank you. Supplementary question or remark, Honorable Mabala?
No, thanks, Acting Speaker. I just want to appreciate the responses from Honorable Lusuki. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That question, Honorable Radebe.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I understand it that the Gauteng Department of Social Development vision is of a caring and self-reliant society, that its strategy outcome-orientated goals are to provide effective anti-poverty community interventions. Will the MEC respond to the following question regarding the respected bedrooms in a city farm? Facing forced removal. Number 1, what is the rationale behind immediate closing the 2-hectare bedroom farm in order to construct a multi-purpose center? Number 2, what engagement has the department had with the Johannesburg City Council regarding the intended multi-purpose center? Number 3, is the department aware that the Veterans Farm provides effective anti-poverty community intervention as outlined in its strategic outcome-orientated goals through its organic farm that grows vegetables for sale and for use in local food kitchen that support children and adults in impoverished communities nearby? In your response, provides the details as to how the department plans to support and what real community-led private-public partnership has the department invested in between 2028 till 2022. In your response, provide the exact amount invested in rents and in cents. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker, and thanks for the question, Honorable Hadebe. Responding to your first question, the department is not aware of bedrooms in a city farm. Regarding your second question, the department is unaware of the intended multipurpose center, and there's no engagement that has taken place with Johannesburg City. Responding to your third question, the department is not aware of Bertram Inner City Farm and its operations. Responding to your last question, the Department of Social Development does not have community-led private-public partnership projects. Thanks, Honourable Deputy Speaker.
Supplementary question, Honourable Radebe, or comment? Or remarks, sorry.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I would like me and MEC to meet so that we can tackle the matter. Deputy Speaker, thank you.
MEC.
The proposal is accepted, Deputy Speaker.
Thank you. Next question, Honourable Radebe.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Following the strike by police detective at Everton Police Station, moreover, considering that over 29 police stations have recorded over 136 break-ins in the last 5 years, where more than 1.6 million worth of valuables were stolen during the breaks-in 2016-2017 financial year to the 2020-2021 financial year. Will the MEC respond to the following questions? Questions: what are the details relating the break-ins in at Everton Police Station, where electric cable and plugs were stolen? In your response, detail why the officers on duty were unable to catch thieves illegally gaining access through the police station ceiling. Detail all the items stolen during the breaks-in and their value. In your response, indicate those insured and those uninsured and the value therein in rents and cents. How many officers who failed to stop a robbery? These officers who failed to stop a robbery at their own police station. Why do the police at Everton Police Station not have offices? In your response, indicate why the police turn people away, claiming not to have office while working under horrid conditions. And what mechanism has the department put in place to prevent further burglary across police stations in the province? Thank you, Deputy Speaker.
MEC.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and truly appreciate the question from Honourable Member Radebe. In responding to question number 1, Deputy Speaker, on the details relating to break-ins at Mafatsane Police Station, where electric cables and plugs were stolen, and the member requests us to also detail how and why the officers on duty were unable to catch the thieves who gained entry. The response to number 1 is that there's been break-ins at Everton Police Station, Mafatsane, in the last 5 years, and suspects gain entry through the ceiling of the detectives' offices, and where the detective offices are situated, the CSC is obstructed, so it means they can't see that there are criminals that are gaining entry into the offices. I'm sure Honourable Member is aware how that police station was designed, is that the CSC was right at the back, and whilst here in front, it was the offices of the detectives. That's how they were able to gain entry without being detected, and obviously at night, Amapoisa, they are actually also indoors. Others have gone on a patrol. In responding to question number 2, where Honourable Member is requesting that we share the details of the items that were stolen, Honorable Deputy Speaker, please allow me to also, as I send the response to proceedings, attach those items that were stolen over and above their value, Honorable Speaker. In responding to question number 3, how many officers were on duty during the break-in, and also we need to detail the consequence management that has been instituted against those officers who failed to stop the robbery at their own police station. In the first incident, Honorable Member, there were 19 officers that were on duty. 10 were in the client service center, and others obviously were on a patrol. And on the second incident that recently happened, 14 members were on duty, 8 were in the client service center, whilst others had gone out on patrol or on cases that on call-outs that have been done by community members. The departmental cases that have been recorded is DR 42 of 2022 and DR 431 of 2022, which have been opened against the relief commanders for investigation. On why do police at the Mafatsane police station not have officers and always 10 people away claiming not to have officers and working under terrible conditions? Let's share with Honorable Member that the new police station that was recently built, the members are starting to move in. It had some snags and some issues that were outstanding, and they did not have occupation certificate. That is why it took longer for them to actually move into the station. But just to reassure members that already they've started taking occupation of the new police station now that Mafatsane is derelict, and really those offices have actually been run down by both criminals and other elements, of course, weather conditions and various elements, and non-maintenance of the building by the owners of the building. On why to, okay, I've responded to that one. On mechanisms that the department will put in place to prevent further burglaries. Unfortunately, the SAPS is the one that actually takes responsibility in ensuring that it guards and protects its premises. In many instances, they utilize security guards. In other instances, they actually utilize reservists. And it's through their Department of Public Works at National and the supply chain here at the province headquarters, where they actually procure services of those that will actually guard their premises.
Thank you. Honorable Ratebe.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I'd like to appreciate the questions, the answers from the MEC. Can the MEC send those questions through to us so that I can do the go back and do my oversight? Thank you.
Thank you. MEC?
Honorable Member is welcome anytime to go and even check the new police station vis-a-vis that derelict building. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
But the answers will be forwarded to proceedings right away.
All right, thank you. We received Honorable MEC's Maile's apology. He's attending the Agent Cabinet special meeting with the Premier, together with the Premier. Thank you. Honorable Hoffman, next question.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and good morning, MEC. In light of the previous questions raised by the FF Plus in determining the legal rules and obligations of the Metro Police Departments, the MPDs, and the oversight role of the MEC, can the MEC please indicate, 1, why does the Metro Police Department not report to the Community Safety Committee on a regular basis? 2, does the Metro Police Department report fully to the MEC, as is the case with regards to the SAPs? And finally, can the reports by the Metro Police Department be availed to the FF Plus for the last 3 financial years? Siyabonga, MEC.
MEC?
Siyabonga kakhulu Lunga Hoffman. In responding to question number 1 on why the Metro Police do not report to the Portfolio Committee of Community Safety on regular basis. Honorable Deputy Speaker, I believe the Portfolio Committee utilizes, if not uses, rules of the House, and they can summon anyone or they can call any institution to come and account in front of it. So I now recommend, Honorable Deputy Speaker, that the Portfolio Committee utilizes the power that it has in order to summon. Just like they're able to invite the provincial commissioner, they are allowed, no one stops them, and there's no municipality that can claim it can't account to the Portfolio Committee, especially if we are dealing with law enforcement. So I will recommend that the Portfolio Committee utilizes its power that is granted in terms of the constitution of the country. In responding to question number 2, does the Metro Police report fully to the MEC in the cases? Yes, Honourable Member, Metro Police, we have quarterly review sessions with them, just like we have with the police. And the last quarterly review session we held was on the 18th of March, where they were able to table the work that they have done vis-a-vis the resources that they have. And in line with their APPs, where they indicated how are they actually going to fight crime, and they've got safety plans, they've got various good plans in ensuring that our cities are actually safe. Your safer city project and various elements that also include the environmental design, because at municipal level they're able to engage their counterparts. Street lights that are not working because they are not safe for the communities. Long grass where children and women sometimes they have to go to other areas only to find that they get mugged or raped within these long grasses. So it becomes their responsibility in ensuring that as they work with their counterparts, they're able also to deal with environmental design. Over and above, included in that is their crime prevention plan. In addition, Honourable Deputy Speaker, the metros meet with the PC and our officials in the prof joints, which are meetings that are held every week in preparing for law enforcement activities that are actually taking place in the province, such as Ukaimlao and various other interventions that they're doing. In responding to question number 3, can the reports by metros be availed? Definitely, Honourable Member, we will share with you all the reports that we held through the GLIF and the quarterly reports, quarterly review sessions, and various other meetings that we have held with the Metro Police Departments. Thank you.
Thank you. Honourable Hoffman, do you have a remark or question?
Speaker, nee, baie dankie, Siyabonga MEC.
Thank you. MEC, I take
Danko, Honourable Hoffman.
Enkos. Honourable Bloom, your question, please.
Thank you, Acting Speaker. To the MEC for Health. With regard to the fire at the Sharpenheke Johannesburg Hospital in April last year, will the MEC please indicate, 1, what investigations have taken place into the causes of this fire and the extent of the structural damage to the hospital? 2, what accounts for any delays in making these investigations public? 3, what is the monetary cost in rands and cents of these investigations? 4, what are the findings of these investigations? And 5, when will these investigations be made public? Thank you.
MEC Ralihuku.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. Madam Deputy Speaker, with regard to the fire at Charlotte Maxeke Johannesburg Hospital that happened in April last year, the question is what investigations we have taken place into the causes of this fire and the extent of the structural damage to the hospital. Our response is that SAPS has done investigation. We're waiting for the report is still pending. Technical investigation again has been carried out to determine the extent of the fire damage by the civil and structural revealed structural damage to columns, slabs and beams in the block, which is block 4, level P2 and P3. Then the second one, what accounts for any delays in making these investigations in public. There is a forensic report, investigation is coordinated by the Office of the Premier. So as the department, we are not in a position at the moment to provide clarity on any delays. Then the third question is, what is the monetary cost in rands and cents of these investigations? Our response is that the technical investigations cost 2.8 million and being paid through a donation. And what are the findings of these investigations? That is the fourth question, Madam. The response is that the technical investigation revealed structural damage to columns, slabs, and beams in block 4 level P2 and P3. The last one, Madam Speaker, is that when will these investigations be made public? Our response is that as soon as the forensic investigation is completed by the Office of the Premier, the department will avail the report under the guidance of the Office of the Premier. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honourable Bloom.
Thank you, Madam Acting Speaker. You know, we have a history of fires in this province, so we never get the reports, most prominently the Bank of Lisbon fire. And, you know, the fire at Sharpenheke Johannesburg Hospital has been absolutely devastating. It's more than a year since it happened. I hear that it's being coordinated by the Premier's office. We really need to speed up these investigations. But I just have one specific follow-up question. The Honourable Acting MEC said the 2.8 million rand for this investigation was paid by a donation. What is the identity of the donor? Thank you.
ABC.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. We will definitely share the identity of the donor to Honourable Bloom. Thank you.
Thank you. Honourable Bloom again. Your question? Next question.
Thank you, Honourable Acting Speaker. To the MEC for Health. Regarding the use of diesel for generators at hospitals and clinics, will the MEC please indicate, 1, how much in rands and cents has been spent on diesel for generators so far this year? 2, how much was spent on diesel for generators for the same period last year? 3, what accounts for any increase in costs? 4, how many times this year has a hospital or clinic run out of diesel? And 5, what are the reasons for running short of diesel for generators? Thank you.
MEC.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The first question is that an amount of 42,532,168 has been spent to date on an item INV, FNG, fuel, oil, and lubricants. The item is inclusive of procurement of other energy-related items. Note that the expenditure and the budget are sourced from basic accounting system and standard chart accounts, which is SCOA and BES. And it describes the item as fuel, oil, and lubricants purchased for operational use. Excluding fuel, oil, and lubricants for GG vehicles, which we separate, which are provided for under the GGT transport items. So we differentiate those items, but they will find it there under quarter one report of 2022 and 2023. Where our budget, we indicated that it was 131,122,500, and the total expenditure was 42,532,168. So at the moment, we're sitting at 32% that we have spent in that budget. Then, yeah, I think that's the response. But in the question that I'll forward to Honourable Bloom, it will be clear what I'm talking about, Madam Speaker. The second one on how much was spent on diesel for generators for the same year, there is again that portion that we have taken from the budget, directly from the budget, quarter one budget of 2021-2022, where the budget was 103,037,00, and the total expenditure was 22,582,279. and we're sitting now on 21.9 that has been spent in that budget. And then an amount it was then, rather, Madam Speaker, which is the quarter one, and an amount of that 22,582.27 was spent on item INVFNG, which is fuel, oil, and lubricants, and the item is inclusive of procurement on other energy-related items. And we must note that that expenditure and budget are sourced from, again, BES and SCOAT that describes the item as fuel and oil and lubricants purchased for operational use, excluding fuel and lubricants for GT vehicles, which are separately provided under, again, for Gauteng government transport items. Then the third question is which accounts for any increase in cost? What accounts for any increase in cost? The first point is that contract price increases. That's the one that helps us on that. The second point is that national fuel hikes and our opening of alternative building technique, which is APT wards, which brought an item standby engines, and there is a 37% increase that has been noticed so far. And then high fuel consumption is due to high impact of power outages from load shedding experienced in all our health facilities. And then sourcing of quotations in the event of non-delivery, which sits under section 227, which allows emergency procurement in the PFMA, procurement on failure to deliver by the contract supplier. Then number 4, on how many times this year has the hospital or clinic ran out of diesel. Only one hospital, which is the Tembisa Provincial Tertiary Hospital, has run out of diesel 6 times this year. And the last one, what are the reasons for, the fifth one rather, what are the reasons for running short of diesel for generators? The first reason is load shedding, because they have high impact of power outages, which led to high fuel consumption. The second one is total breakdown due to planned and unplanned maintenance from the municipalities. For example, issue of cable theft. And yeah, that will be the reasons. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Honourable Bloom.
Thank you, Madam Acting Speaker. I think I'm going to have to wait for the written version of this reply to sort of to make sense of all the figures that were given. But clearly load shedding has been a problem and shortages of fuel. I would question the response that only one hospital ran out of diesel, because there were several clinics that I know of. So perhaps they're concentrating on hospitals in this reply, but I know for a fact that a number of clinics ran out of diesel, and with very severe consequences for patients and staff. Thank you.
Thank you. Embassy?
What we will do, we'll forward that question to Honourable Bloom, because I think there was a question that was similar to that, where there was a table of some of the clinics indicating how many times that I got from the team. But I will attach it, Madam Speaker, in detail, because I said to them, they must give me the list of those, including this one, because I agree with Member Bloom, it can't be the only one. I'll look for it, Member Bloom, from the team, and then I'll give you that detailed information for each clinic that they said, because some it was 1 hour and some they will even determine how many hours, but I will attach it to the question, Madam Speaker. My apology for that. I agree with him that the other part of the question, response to the question, should have been that which I've asked them to give me in the evening yesterday when I got this information, that I will need even others in other areas, specific areas and regions. So I'll forward that information, Madam. My apology for that. I totally agree with him on what he's raising. Thank you.
Thank you, Ebisi. Honourable Nel, your question?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'm standing in for Honourable Nel.
Okay.
He is on business. Okay, to the member of the Executive Council for Roads and Transport. With regard to the taxi COVID-19 marshals that were appointed to assist the taxi industry with COVID-19 compliance during the COVID-19 pandemic, can the MEC please indicate the following? 1. For which exact period were taxi marshals contracted to provide COVID-19 compliance services to the taxi industry? 2. What was the total cost of this project? 3, are these taxi marshals still being paid by the Department of Roads and Transport? 4, if yes, why are they still being paid? And 5, what process was followed to reappoint them in their role? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Speaker and Honorable Duplessis. I'll be very brief because it's the last question for the day, and I guess members might want to attend to other tasks, so I'll be very brief. The reply to the first question is that the taxi industry marshals were contracted for a period of just 7 months, September to March, September 2020, March 2021. The cost was 56 million. For the 2083 taxi industry marshals. The reply to your third question, it's a big no. I've already answered that. And the fourth one is obviously no. And the fifth one is also, well, they were seconded by the taxi industry. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Duplessis.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Just for a follow-up question, so those people were re-employed into the taxi industry itself. Thank you.
MSc?
Yes, these are the employees of the taxi industry. Yes.
Thank you. Moving on to the third item. In terms of Rule 1375, which reads as follows: if a question for written reply is not replied to within the stipulated time frame and no extension is requested by a member of the Executive Council during the next question day, the relevant member of the Executive Council must provide an oral explanation in the House for his or her failure to reply to the questions and still hand over the written reply to the table. MBCs are kindly requested not to reply to the question but to provide an oral explanation for his or her failure to reply to the question and for the reply to the question on the table. Question 5, HL007 to MSc for Health. The reply was received at 7:46 last night. The MSc standing in for the MSc, Ralhoko standing in for MSc Health, please provide an oral explanation on behalf of the MSc as to why question 5, HL007 was not responded to on time. MSc Nkomo Ralhoko.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. The reason why our question were unable to respond it on time, Madam Deputy Speaker, it was because some of the information that they needed were to do a thorough research. It was dating from, we were supposed to indicate the years and the number of interns that we have done since 2010 up to 2022. So we had to go deeper in terms of the research and get all the relevant information of what we've been doing. Thank you, Madam Speaker. And we want to apologize to the House for that mishap because it doesn't give us reasons, even if it's like that, to respond late, because our HR should have that system in the information, but there was a miscommunication on our side with the team in responding on time, Madam Speaker. My apology on behalf of the team of Team Health.
MSc, please hand over the reply to the table staff as soon as you can.
I will hand it, Madam Deputy Speaker. Thank you.
Questions 5. Moving on. Questions 5. SPs that read as follows: SP 028, 029, 030, 0301, 032, 033, and SP 034 to the MEC for Sports, Arts and Culture and Recreation, MEC, please respond or give an explanation as to why all those questions that I've listed were not responded to.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. We had submitted a request for an extension. However, it was submitted late when the department realized that it was battling with compiling some of the information. So the department is currently just confirming the accuracy of that which will be submitted before we do so accordingly. Ngiyaxolisa.
Thank you, MEC. The department has had enough time, though. They've been giving these questions for some time. So we hope you'll give the reply as well to table staff when you've compiled your responses of the questions listed above. Thank you very much. This concludes our business for the day, colleagues or members, honorable members. The next sitting is on the 25th of August, 2022 at 10 o'clock. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Speaker. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, Mamba Padenost.
Mm-hmm.